Welcome to Catalytic Leadership, the podcast designed to help leaders intentionally grow and thrive. Here is your host, author, and leadership and executive coach, Dr. William Attaway.
Hey, it's William, and welcome to episode 8 of our first season of the Catalytic Leadership podcast. Each week, we tackle a topic that's related to the field of leadership. My goal is to ensure that you have actionable steps that you can take from each episode to grow in your own leadership. As I've heard Craig Groeschel say many times, when a leader gets better, everybody benefits. Your team, your department, your customers, your clients, your spouse, your kids, everybody. Today, we're starting something new on the podcast. I have the privilege to interview Jeannie Moralist Smith. You are going to glean so much from what she has to share. I encourage you, grab a notepad, grab a pen, and pay attention because she's dropping some gold nuggets here. It is an honor today to have Jeannie Moralist Smith with us. She is the founder of Dynamism Leadership, formerly HRRX, a leadership mindset and organization development consulting firm that was established in 2005. Prior to becoming CEO, she held executive leadership roles at a variety of organizations. Now, with over 3 decades of personal and professional experience, Jeannie has helped thousands of leaders learn how to take charge of the catabolic thoughts and feelings that control their mindset and replace them with anabolic energy. Jeannie holds certifications in leadership coaching, energy leadership, and human management, as well as a Master of Science degree in human resources. Her clients state that she has helped them to enhance their relationships, both personally and professionally, with themselves and with others, to enhance connection, attract and retain top talent, and make massive profits. Jeannie, it is such an honor to have you on the show. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's my honor.
I would love for you to share some of your story with our listeners, particularly about your journey and development as a leader. How did you get started?
So I recently had one of my lifelong friends' mother tell me, Jeannie, you've always been a leader. The pack of young girls at age 6, you were the leader of the pack. I didn't realize that. There were times, looking back, I remember since she's told me this, there were times where we're sitting around making a decision and I'd be like, well, what do you think of this? And it's like really asking others how they felt we could solve this problem or what they felt about this activity we were going to do. So reflecting on that recent compliment to me and looking back over my career, I started my undergrad graduate degree in marketing, and all the courses were impacted. And I didn't want to be at San Diego State for 10 years or even 6 years. I needed to get out of there. So I went to the counselor and said, where will most of my courses apply? Now, this is why I'm sharing this, because when you reach out for help, you get answers that you didn't even know you had those questions within. Like I really thought I need to go into marketing. I need to be a marketing person. Don't know why. I think it was just cool that that's what everybody was doing. So I went, I sought some help and assistance from the counselor. She shared with me where the majority of my courses and units would apply if that was my goal to get out soon. That was in public administration, of which I didn't know what really that was. It was government. And I'm like, well, I don't know about that, but okay. Where I pick this up is I started taking some human resource courses. They were actually called personnel management within this public administration degree. And something sparked within me that it now wasn't that I had to read this book. I had an opportunity to read this book. Like there was this passion percolating within me that I didn't even realize that now my 3-decade career, it started then in human resources. And I had an internship at the city of Chula Vista and in their public administration sector, in their HR department. And the rest is really history. I climbed the corporate ladder from clerk to vice president and sat on the executive team in human resources. And it was because I asked for help. There was somebody who was a leader in the organization that was willing to give me that time. That was at San Diego State. I ended up going on and getting a master's degree in human resources. But that's really, so being in human resources, in any organization, that particular functional department needs to be the leader. They need to be the bridge between employees and management. They need to be the bridge between solutions and problems. And literally, not all HR functions that way. Some HR departments function as an admin, but I was more strategically placed in organizations to help the leaders bridge that gap between employees and managers, between the problems and the solutions. So to my lifelong second mother's compliment, I guess so. Leadership's been in with me. It simply needed to be shined and percolate, just showcased in different areas of my career.
I love that your story involves somebody seeing something in you, right? And giving you an opportunity, right? Because I think that's part of the community that we live in. And it's not just about what I get for me. It's about how can I help others? How can I pour into and invest in others and lift them up? I think that's such a big part of leadership.
100%. They call it servant leadership. It's been around for a really, really long time. It's simply right now being showcased again by a lot of people, but it's been around a long time. I have books that I've had on my shelf for 20 years that talk about servant leadership. And it's how can you show up as a leader, as a coach, to help your folks, your employees, the people on your staff, and even coworkers be more successful. And think about Hewlett Packard's been around a long time. They wrote a book 30 years ago called The HP Way. And it's the whole part of the book, the whole premise of the book is help me help you.
Oh, so good.
What do you need me to do to help you shine? And as a leader, yes, your job is to remove those obstacles so that people in your organization can shine. What do they need from you? And if you're not having those one-on-ones on a regular basis, you should start every one-on-one with your employees' agenda. What do you need from me?
So good.
What's getting in your way, and what do you think I have the power to change? How can I help you?
So helpful, so practical. I love that. Listeners, I hope you're writing this down. This is gold. How would you define leadership, Jeannie?
Leadership is a function where, well, not only you have followers because you're leading, right? But you've paved a way for those folks to want to follow you. So you're helping them, as I mentioned, shine or be showcased or be promoted into your role. There are so many people I've worked with in the past who are so afraid to share everything about their job with their staff because they thought, oh, then they'll take it from me. And that's not the case. Like the more that you share with your staff and the more that you give them to do, the more you can do. So there's no reason to hoard information or control responsibilities. Teach them everything you do. That's a true leader. And I think leadership really has to be supported by this coaching function. Lead as a coach.
Love that. Love that. Leadership so often is around what we do. It's around the work that we do, right? And coaching, I think I agree completely. I think coaching should be near the top of what a leader does with those that they lead.
Let me real quick before we answer another question. Leadership is what you do, but it's also who you are.
Oh,
so it's how you show up. If you're not showing up authentically, being vulnerable as well, sharing yourself with others, you won't connect with your staff. They won't feel comfortable sharing themselves with you. And you really can't have that relationship unless you are showing up your whole self too.
So you can't be a disconnected leader?
No. No.
I think we've all seen examples of that. I would call that something else, not leadership.
Absolutely.
What impact does your work have on the world?
I've been asked that a lot lately, and I feel that I can help change the world of work one leader at a time. And how do I do that? Really helping each individual leader in their organization and as part of a team within their organization show up in a manner that is serving to their staff, serving to their organization and the community and the world as a whole. So it's not about what you get out of it. It's what everybody gets out of it. Like how, again, like I said earlier, how do you help others succeed? Not just, and I'm not going to name names. Being in HR, I have a whole lot of stories. But there was one CEO that I will never forget this short encounter we had. I came in with a stack, we called them PANs, personal action notices. And they were for bonuses for individuals who earned through MBOs, they earned these extra bonuses. They went above and beyond. And he needed to countersign my signature to pay them out. And he said, I'm not going to do that, but I want you to sign this one for me. And I said, wait a minute. We don't have the budget for both. He's like, exactly. He was willing to not pay them what they earned in order to pay him this bonus. And I said, no, I'm not signing it. That's not the right thing to do. And I have to sleep at night. I don't know how you sleep at night, but I can't do that knowing what you're asking me to do this. No. And so it's not about serving yourself and making yourself shine and stuffing your pockets. It's about everyone involved. And when leaders realize that, and you've heard this saying, the janitor is equally as important as the CEO, but you have to really believe that. You can't just talk that nonsense. Like there's, red carpet for the janitor and the CEO. I knew both of them very well. And I knew both about their family, the issues they're having. I took the time to get to know people as a whole. And I recommend that all leaders do that. And so my work will impact the world one leader at a time.
I love that. I talk about 3D leadership, this idea that we need to see those we lead as actual 3D human beings.
Yes.
Not just a cog in the machine who performs a function at the office.
100%. What do you know about them? How much time are you giving the work week to get to know your staff? And I've had leaders say things like, but I don't want to hear about it. I don't have time to hear it. It'll stress me out, this personal stuff. You can't afford to not make the time to understand what's going on in your staff's life to get to know them. You can't afford not to. The connection will be lost and you'll lose them to an organization who will take the time. So
true. So good. This is really helpful, Jeannie. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
I want to talk about energy leadership. You've spoken, you've written about this. What is that?
So energy leadership is how we show up in the world. How are we on a regular basis versus when we're under stress? What happens to our energy? And it really comes down to our core values and understanding what those are. And I've asked a lot of people, do you know what your core values are? And they say, yes, I do, but they can't really identify them, or they don't know why they've identified that as a core value. So I actually have a values assessment, and I also have an energy leadership index assessment that I put most of my clients through. That's usually where we start. So it's a really good foundation. And what happens is when you know your core values, and we'll use mine as an example, one of my top values is respect. Now, respect means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. To me, when I feel most stressed and wherein historically I have reacted versus responded was when my core value of respect has been compromised. So when you have the knowledge after being through something like a values assessment and a debrief, the ELI, Energy Leadership Index, and the debrief, and you have more knowledge about anabolic and catabolic energy. You understand what happens to you, given there's several questions that you have to fill out, and you end up with this result, this chart that shows here you are and 7 different levels of energy when you're with your friends, with your loved ones. There's no stress when you're performing at your best. Now let's compare that to what happens when you're under stress. And let's talk about some things. And usually it ends up taking you back in time to something that happened when you were fairly young or in your early parts of your career, where you were maybe led, since we're talking about leadership, led in a direction that wasn't really supportive of your core values. And now you see that as a truth when it really isn't true. So we unwind that, recreate your truth. And now, when you're in a situation, you're well aware of what your core values are. You feel it being triggered. Take seconds and you can go, get it. I'm going to respond the way that I want, not the way that I was going to react to the situation because I was stressed, because you have this knowledge. So now you're in charge of your thoughts and feelings. You know how to pull it in, feel it, and then how are you going to react or respond? Because you can't take those reactions back. You can't take back the way that you made somebody feel in a situation. Ever. They may forget what you said, but they're not going to forget the way that you made them feel. So if you can respond when you're being triggered in a way that you want to, peace and harmony, right?
I love that.
And once you have this skill, it's easy to take charge, like I said, your thoughts and your feelings, and control your destiny in every moment of your life. That's energy leadership.
I love that. I love the responses and reactions piece. Learning to control your responses and reactions to what happens to you. Wow.
It is life changing. From prior to my training and being certified as an ELI practitioner to now, I can tell you there was one example. I'll be real quick with it. There was one example. I was in charge of my son's, he was in kindergarten. I was in charge of Teacher Appreciation Day. And so I had a whole bouquet of carnations. Now they were all different colors. And if anybody ever is in this situation, get all the same color because you're dealing with 5-year-olds. All the same color will save you a heartache. Anyway, so the teacher had given me 5 minutes and she asked me, I said, just give me 5 minutes, close the door. I have a surprise for you. So I'm going down the line and Joey, Jimmy, what color do you want? Hand them all the same color. But anyway, I had a mother tapping me on the shoulder. What are you doing? What are you doing? Why didn't I get the memo? What do you mean? Why? And I said, I sent an email. I only have a couple minutes. She was literally physically tapping me on the shoulder. And I said, she goes, well, what email address did you send it to? Why am I not involved? Why am I not helping? I didn't get it. And I reacted, basically told her, how I felt. I was being stressed out. Instead, had I realized my value of respect was being compromised, I should have said, I know you have something important to say. If you give me a minute, I'll be right with you. I have limited time. Oh my God. Can you tell the difference in the tones and everything?
Yeah.
Respecting myself enough to respect the other person, give them a moment. Everything's fine. Instead, and how many times you've probably had people yell at you, honk at you in the car, wherever it is, right? But if you could take a moment to respond the way that you want, the way that you would want to be treated, it changes the whole environment, which is what I'm saying about the whole world could be different if we learn these techniques.
I love that. I'll often quote Craig Groeschel. He says, when a leader gets better, everybody benefits. Everybody benefits 100%. And they talk about children following their parents as leaders, right?
They see everything. They hear everything. They feel everything.
Mm-hmm.
When you're stressed, they're stressed. Same thing in the work world. We're just a little bit bigger and a little bit older. It's the same thing. We are looking at our leaders for guidance. And I had this, again, I have thousands of stories being in HR all these years. There was a director and he would come in, this will date me because it was a BlackBerry, right? And he was on his screen walking in and his staff would be like, oh, and then nope, there's no chance to even talk to him, right? So he approaches me as his business partner and asks me, tells me, I don't think they like me. I go, I don't think they know you. And I said, can I share an observation? This is how you walk in. When you hang up your phone, you're screaming and yelling in your office and you're headed to the restroom, you're back on the BlackBerry, or in the coffee room. What if you left that in your bag or on your desk? What if you went over and said, hey, William, hi. And he started doing that. His staff was blown away. The tension was completely down. He goes, I can't believe it was that simple. It only takes a couple minutes every morning for me to look him in the eye and say hi. Or William, I know, I know your dog, whatever, something happened to your dog. Are you okay? I want you to know I was thinking about you. It goes a long way. And to your point, see him as a whole person, not just an employee. And so give them the time. And yes, absolutely. The employees are looking to you as their role model and they see it, they feel it. Don't be stressed and, respond to them the way that you would want to be treated respectfully. Everybody wants to be respected.
It's true. I love that. You transitioned from C-suite leadership to running your own business.
Yes.
That's a pretty big jump. What has been one of your biggest challenges in making that leap?
So there are two. In the very beginning, you don't realize how used to getting your, direct deposit every 2 weeks, or, you don't realize until when you go out on your own and now you need to invoice and then get asked for, to be paid. So that was a shocker at first because I people had told me, but I didn't realize it would be that much of an impact. So you have to plan for that.
Yeah.
But that was in 2005. That was almost 18 years ago.
Wow.
So then I realized that because I can doesn't mean I have to.
Ooh.
Because I can doesn't mean I have to. So can I be IT? Can I be finance? Can I be the salesperson? Can I be the employee? Can I do? Yes, but I don't need to. And so at first didn't want to add anyone to my staff because then it's just more work. I could just do it myself at night. You know what? No. And so the biggest lesson learned when you go out and on your own is to hire, just as you would have in the work world. No one can function a business on their own. You can't. So realize where your expertise is, where your superpowers are, and then hire to fill those other places. Because invoicing on a regular basis doesn't really serve, that's not where the best use of my time is. So hire someone else to do it.
So good. Operate in your zone of genius.
Yes.
Love that. So this may be the same thing, and I don't know, but if you could share one piece of advice with the leaders who are listening from a variety of different contexts, what would that one piece of advice be?
One word: communicate. Communicate good, the bad, all of it. Communicate on a regular basis. There were leaders who told me they can't handle this information right now. I bet you they can. So you hire adults. You made a decision when you were hiring them that they were the best candidate. And I want you to back up a little bit. And when you're hiring, before you even start interviewing or placing an ad or however you're going to find these people, you need to really understand what's important of that job. And it's not just the hard skills, it's the soft skills too. What are you looking to, who is the best person for that? Then when you find them, it's an easy fit. Then remember, you hired them because they're an A player. You hired them because they were the best of the best. You hired them because you thought they were going to really add value to your team. Now let them shine. Empower them to do their job. Stop micromanaging. And there's ways to, I always say this, here's the project. You're meeting here. I did this, 2, 3, 10 years ago. This is what it looked like. I know things have changed. This is the end result. You paint this amazingly accurate vision of the end result. Ask questions along the way. How would you do this? How would you do this? Where are we like on quarter one or whatever it is? And then as a leader, you simply poke holes in the process and peer in and see how it's going. Those are through the one-on-ones. What obstacle did you face this week? What do you need help with? What difference can I make for you? What's holding you up? When you really have a connection and you've been communicating well with your staff, they will communicate back and they will tell you, I got to confess, I hit a roadblock. I don't know how to do this. I said I know how to do it, but I don't. I need your help. Beautiful. That's what you're there for, to coach them to the next level. Where you failed in communication is not opening those lines up for your staff to be comfortable with you. You cannot connect with people that you don't communicate with.
You cannot connect with people you don't communicate with. Again, folks, write that down. You can't. That's so good.
And I have so many leaders who hoard information. That doesn't serve the company at all. Share everything. Now, again, being in HR for 30 years, I understand there's a point in time that you say certain things, you tell certain people certain things.
Sure.
But the majority of the time, your staff, have them sign an NDA, confidentiality agreement. They should be able to be involved in the process. Then they'll be involved in the solution. And I think you'd be amazed at what you learn from them. You're hiring intelligent, educated people who want to add value. They want to feel valued. So appreciate them. Give them the responsibilities. Hold them accountable. Right?
That's so good. That's so good. This is so helpful. It doesn't matter what your context is. It doesn't matter what you lead or where you lead. This is transferable and applicable today.
100%.
I love this.
And being in human resources all these years in multiple different fields, software development, real estate, biotech, pharmaceutical, on and on and on and on. You're dealing with human-centric elements of an organization. So that's where I probably add the most value. I get it. And guess what? Every day someone's different. Jeannie may show up today like this, and tomorrow you don't know what happened to her last night. Something happened. Now she came in. Give her an opportunity to get back on track that day, whether it takes 5 minutes, 10 minutes, take the whole day off, Jeannie. I sense something isn't right. You don't have to probe. I sense something isn't right. You have an option. You want to write it out today, or do you want to just go take the day off? Let me know how. I'm here for you. You can text me. Let me know how I can help. Huge difference in the way that person's going to come back the next day.
I love that. One thing that I like to ask guests on the show, what is a favorite quote that you would love to share with our listeners?
Oh my gosh, I have so many. It's something that I was told most of my life. You can do anything you set your mind to. And it was followed by, everyone puts their pants on one leg at a time. And there's more to this that I won't share on this show, because my mom was pretty she would say certain things, but this was from my mom, who passed away last year. Really my foundation. And she told me, no one's better than you. if you really want to do something, figure it out. And you've heard everything's figure outable, right?
Yep.
You just have to chunk it out in digestible pieces. And I help people with this. Like, they're usually like, I want to do this by this date. Hold on, that's huge. Yeah. If you break it down into digestible chunks that you can achieve that day or that hour or that 20 minutes, and then you celebrate that win, you have more momentum going into the next task.
Yes.
So take a project, break it down. As a strong leader would in an organization, here's the project. We're going to break it down. We're going to give this to William. We're going to give this to Jeannie. We're going to give this to Joe. Right. And then you come together. What parts did you do? You should do the same thing for yourself. And then again, don't forget to celebrate the wins, even if they're little wins, because you deserve that. Don't be so hard on yourself. So the quote is, you can do anything you set your mind to. You just have to figure out a way to do it.
I love it. I know folks are going to want to stay connected with you and learn more about you and the coaching that you do. What's the best way for them to do that?
Probably the best way is to go to the website. It's Dynamism, DYNAMISM leadership.com. There's links to every social that I'm on, whichever your favorite, you can get it there. There's also a way to book a call with me if you want to from the website. And there's also I do a 60-second solution. It's a weekly newsletter on LinkedIn. And I also pull it as a blog onto the website. So there's a leader asks me a question and I answer it, give some points back with it under 60 seconds. Just kind of keep you rolling and back in the business and your head in the game.
I love that. We'll have those links in the show notes. Jeannie, I just want to thank you again. This has been such an honor and such an incredible, helpful conversation. So incredibly helpful. Thank you for being so generous with your time and with what you've shared.
Yeah, thank you. I that's my role in this world, is to help people, think about things a little bit differently. And then sometimes it just takes a new perspective and, flip your switch to think things, just your mindset to just think of things a little bit differently. I'm glad I could help.
Thank you. That was so incredibly helpful, wasn't it? I mean, I was taking notes. Even listening to it again, I was taking more notes because of the wisdom that she was sharing. I hope you benefited from this, and I hope that you were able to capture some actionable steps for the next step in your leadership journey. Thanks so much for joining us for this episode today. As we wrap up, I've got a request for you. I'd love for you to do two things. First, subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss an episode. And if you find value here, I'd love it if you would share it with other people and that you would rate it and review it. That helps other people to find this podcast. And second, if you don't have a copy of my newest book, Catalytic Leadership, I'd love to put a copy in your hands. My goal is to get this into the hands of as many leaders as possible. If you go to catalyticleadershipbook.com, you can get a copy for free. You just cover the cost of shipping so I can get it to you, and I'll make sure it gets in your hands. This book captures principles that I've learned in 20 plus years of coaching leaders in the entrepreneurial space, in the business world, government, nonprofit, education, and inside the local church. You can always connect with me on LinkedIn to keep up with what I'm learning and what I'm talking about these days. And if you're ready to take a next step with a coach who can help you go from where you are to where you want to be, I'd love to work with you. Just go to catalyticleadership.net and book a discovery call with me, and we'll get started. Stay tuned for our next episode next week. And until then, as always, leaders, choose to be catalytic.
Thanks for listening to Catalytic Leadership with Dr. William Attaway. Be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss the next episode. Want more? Go to catalyticleadership.net.